Alright, and so, the last, before we went to break, it was a pre-recorded interview we did today with my, good friend and fellow ministry partner, Nate Vanderhoof, the youth director of the Salvation Army. I interviewed him about, what the Salvation Army does for Christmas, about his work with the Salvation Army, and just how he got involved. If you're watching the pre-recorded, when you're live, they don't see that, so you have to see. So if you're interested in what we were doing...
You saw me walk past the screen at one point.
So we apologize. We hope we didn't distract you from listening to Nate's interview on the pre-recorded show, on the archive video. But as you can tell, we're constantly doing things through the whole thing.
Yes.
It's a lot. But before we move on to the article that I wrote entitled, Who Really Was Old Saint Nick? We want to give a shout out to the Scrooge Report .com because we were given some Scrooge Report.
You can see them. Yeah, they can't even read the
it says the
it says the ScroogeReport.com. I put it in the room so you guys can see. I know he's actually in there. I think somewhere hiding in the chat, if I can look at the chat. But anyway, we just got his mugs, and he should get our surprise. See, there he is.
Yep.
Everyone say hi in the chat. And we will post a link to his site. You know, he's the guy who wrote our PR article for us, and we cover a few different things from his repertoire, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go right into...
Who was Old Saint Nick? And I wrote this article, and I just posted it yesterday. I've been writing this...
We're froze. Technical difficulties. I'm sorry,
okay,
folks. It freezes sometimes, and no one can.
This is why we do the separate video
recording, because the audio doesn't come in. But let me try this again. Let's go.
So anyway, I wanted to share. A lot of people don't know really who Saint Nick was, or Santa Claus as he's come to be known today. This is what I wrote. As a child, when Christmas rolled around, my family would celebrate the birth of Jesus, but we also would await the visit of Santa Claus or Saint Nick, especially all the gifts he would leave us under our Christmas tree and in our stockings. When I was a child, I never knew the history of Saint Nick. That was until I was an adult and really started looking into the history of Santa Claus. How we came to celebrate this man who would visit us on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and brought presents to all the children in the entire world in just one night. That, and also how Santa Claus has become more important in today's society at times, more than Jesus, and celebrating the birth of our Savior in most of the world. This is what I found out about the real Saint Nick and how the legend of Santa Claus became one of the main focuses of the Christmas season today. I found this article from Joyful Heart Renewal Ministries. The person who wrote this was Dr. Ralph F. Wilson. A vast multitude was imprisoned in every place, wrote an eyewitness. The prisons prepared for murderers and robbers were filled with bishops, priests, and deacons, so there was no longer room for those condemned of crime. You'd hardly expect to find old St. Nick in jail, but St. Nicholas is more than a children's Christmas legend. He was flesh and blood, a prisoner for Christ, bishop of the Mediterranean city of Myra. What do we know about the real St. Nicholas? He was born, ancient biographers tell us, to wealthy parents in the city of Patara about 270 AD. He was still young when his mother and father died and left him a fortune. As a teenager, Nicholas's humility was already evident. He had heard about a family destitute and starving. The father had no money for food, much less the dowry needed to marry off his 3 daughters. He was ready to send his oldest girl into the streets to earn a living as a prostitute. Under the cover of night, Nicholas threw a bag of gold coins through the window of their humble dwelling. In the morning, the father discovered the gold. How he rejoiced! His family was saved, his daughter's honor preserved, and a dowry for her marriage secured. Sometime after, Nicholas secretly provided a dowry for the second daughter. Still later, the third. But on the third occasion, the girl's father stood watching. As soon as the bag of gold thudded on the floor, he chased after the lad till he caught with him. Nicholas was mortified to be discovered in the act of charity. He made the father promise not to tell anyone who had helped his family. Then Nicholas forsook his wealth to answer a call to the ministry. At the nearby city of Myra, a bishop supervised all the churches of the region. When the bishop died, the bishops and ministers from other cities and villages... What's the matter?
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
Try again.
Nicholas was in the habit of... At the nearby city of Myra, a bishop supervised all the churches of the region. When the bishop died, the bishops and ministers from other cities and villages, Nicholas among them, gathered to choose a successor. Nicholas was in the habit of rising very early and going to the church to pray. This morning, an aged minister awaited him in the sanctuary. Who are you, my son? He asked. Nicholas the sinner, the young minister replied, and I am your servant. Come with me. Wait a minute. How much time do we have?
Well, let's see. I went over. But that's fine.
Let's check and see if we need to take a break real quick.
We got a minute.
So we are sharing about the real story of Nicholas, Saint Nicholas, who now we know as Santa Claus. And we are at the point where he is gone into the church to want to be either go into the ministry. And we will continue right after this break.